Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something right now. Sometimes in this world, the most powerful move you can make is the one you don't make. See, everybody thinks it's about the text you send, the call you make, the little heart emoji you drop in at the right time. No, no, no. The real magic, it's in the silence. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Sometimes it ain't what you say, it's what you don't say that makes the biggest impact. You ever notice how in relationships, in arguments, in everyday life, we get so caught up in talking, explaining, texting, calling, checking in, making sure they know exactly what we're thinking every second of the day. And then you step back for a minute, close your mouth, put that phone down, and suddenly the silence is louder than anything you could have ever said. That's real power. That's when you know you've shifted the whole energy in the room. See, people think words are everything. Don't get me wrong, words are powerful. Words can lift you up. Words can tear you down. But silence will make a man start pacing around his living room, wondering what he did wrong. Silence will make a woman sit there staring at her phone thinking, no, wait a minute, he always responds right away. Why hasn't he said anything? That's when the imagination starts working overtime. And let me tell you, imagination is a whole lot more powerful than any little text message you can type out. I'll give you an example. You ever been in an argument with somebody? Maybe it's your man, maybe it's your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend. And instead of blowing up, instead of yelling, instead of explaining your whole case like you're standing in court, you just get quiet. You just lean back, fold your arms, and look at Whim! That silence will make them confess to crimes they didn't even commit. They'll be like, baby, listen, I didn't mean it like that. I was just saying I didn't call her. She called me, and you're sitting there like, I ain't even say nothing. But that silence, it pulled the truth out faster than any FBI interrogation could. Now, let me tell you about dating, because this is where silence really shows its strength. See, we live in a world where everybody's glued to their phones. We send good morning, texts like clockwork. We send memes, emojis, check-ins, what at 11 p.m., all that. And when you suddenly stop, when you decide, nope, not today. I'm not texting. I'm not calling. I'm not saying a word. Watch how fast that person notices. You don't even have to block them. You don't even have to delete them. Just go silent. That's when they start asking questions they never asked before. Is she mad at me? Did I do something wrong? Is she out with somebody else? Why hasn't she hit me up yet? And while their brain is running laps, you're just sitting there sipping your coffee, scrolling, enjoying your peace. That's the beauty of it. Because silence is not emptiness. Silence is a message all by itself. Silence says, I'm not pressed. Silence says, I don't have to chase you. Silence says, I know my value. And when people feel that, they can't ignore it. It shakes them up. Let me tell you something from a man's perspective. Men like the chase. We're wired to hunt. It's in our DNA. When a man feels like he already got you, like you're available 24/47. Like he can text you at midnight and you'll respond right away. He relaxes. He starts pulling back because there's no mystery, no challenge, no fire. But the moment you pull that silence card, he's going to feel it. He's going to check his phone 10 times in an hour. He's going to start scrolling through your social media. He's going to wonder, hold up, did she forget about me? Is she losing interest? And that's when his pursuit instinct kicks back in. See, silence wakes up the hunter in a man. Now, ladies, I'm not saying play games. This ain't about manipulation. This is about balance. It's about knowing when to step back and let silence do the heavy lifting for you. Because sometimes explaining too much, talking too much, chasing too much, it kills the vibe. It kills the respect. Silence puts the weight back on him to show up, to check in, to prove he's interested. And the beauty of it is you don't have to raise your voice. You don't have to argue. You don't have to demand anything. The quiet says it for you. And let me flip it. Fellas, this works for you too. You ever notice when you stop blowing up her phone, when you stop being the one who always plans every date, when you pull back and let her wonder for a second, she starts noticing your absence. She starts checking for you. She might hit you with that, hey stranger, text. Now, she could have texted you all week, but the moment you go silent, suddenly you're on her mind. Silence creates presence. Silence creates curiosity. Silence creates value. I remember this one couple I knew. Every time they fought, the woman would be yelling, cussing, throwing her hands around, and the man, he would just get quiet. Wouldn't say a word. She hated it. She'd be like, why didn't you say something? And the more she talked, the calmer he got. After a while, She'd realized the silence was eating her up more than any comeback ever could. That's when she started calming down too. Because silence can shift the whole atmosphere of a room. It can bring things back to center. Now, some of y'all think silence is weak. You think if you don't respond, you're letting somebody win. No, silence is strength. Anybody can send a long paragraph. Anybody can argue for hours, but it takes strength to close your mouth. Set down that phone and let your actions speak. It takes strength to say, I don't need to fight for your attention. If you care, you'll show me. If you don't, my silence will say all that needs to be said. You ever notice how the quietest people in the room are usually the ones everybody watches? The loud ones are talking, cracking jokes, making noise, but that one quiet person in the corner, folks are wondering, what's he thinking? Why is she so calm? What's on their mind? Silence draws attention without you even asking for it. Same thing in relationships. When you stop filling the space with words, you become the mystery. And mystery is attractive. Mystery makes people want to lean in. Think about it. If you're on a date and the other person is talking nonstop, telling you everything about their life, their job, their ex, their dog, their childhood, you're sitting there like, all right, I get it. But if someone says just enough, leave space, leave silence hanging, that makes you curious. That makes you want to know more. Silence builds intrigue. And silence is also discipline, because it's not easy, is it? It's not easy to stop yourself from texting when you want to. It's not easy to hold back from calling when you're used to being the one who always reaches out. That silence takes willpower. But that willpower, that's what makes people respect you. That's what makes them realize you're not desperate. You're not pressed. You're not out here begging for attention. You're somebody with self-control, with standards. And that's magnetic. Here's what silence does better than anything. It makes the other person do the work. It makes them reveal themselves, because when you're quiet, you can see who's willing to step up, who's willing to chase, who's willing to match your energy. Silence puts the ball in their court. And sometimes the only way to know somebody's true intentions is to step back, shut your mouth, and let them show you. That's why silence is not weakness. It's strategy. It's power. It's communication without saying a word. And when you learn how to use it, you stop wasting time on people who don't deserve your voice, your words, your energy. You learn to sit in your worth and let silence do the talking. Ladies and gentlemen, let me break something down to you real quick. There's a difference between being wanted and being tolerated. And a lot of people confuse the two because they're too busy giving, too busy chasing, too busy proving themselves to somebody who ain't even showing up the same way. Now let me tell you something from a man's perspective, because I know how men think. Men love the chase. It's built into us. If it comes too easy, we don't value it. That's the truth. If it's sitting right there in our lap, we get comfortable. But when you pull back, when you stop doing the running, stop doing the chasing, stop making it so easy, that's when you wake us up. That's when you spark the chase again. See, you don't realize how powerful it is when you pull back. You think, well, if I don't text him, he'll forget about me. If I don't call, he won't care. No. Pulling back doesn't mean disappearing. It means you stop putting in more effort than the other person. It means you shift the energy. Because right now, if you're always the one reaching out first, always the one checking on him, always the one planning the dates, you training him to be lazy. You teaching him he ain't got to do nothing but exist, and you'll be there. But when you pull back, when you let him feel your absence, suddenly you got to step up. Suddenly he realizes he could lose access to you. And let me tell you, nothing motivates a man more than the thought of losing a woman who brings value to his life. Now, ladies, let me get real with you. Some of y'all out here are working harder than the man you calling texting, cooking, cleaning, loving, supporting, encouraging, reminding him of his appointments, being his secretary, his therapist, and his cheerleader, all rolled into one. And what's he doing? Sitting there like, yeah, that's my girl. She loved me. No urgency, no effort, no chase, because you took all the mystery out the game. You already showed him you'll be there no matter what. But the moment you say, hold on, let me slow down. Let me step back. Let me pull back just a little bit. Oh, that man gonna notice. He gonna be like, wait a minute, she didn't text me today. She didn't call me today. She didn't check in. What's going on? That's when the gears start turning. That's when his natural instinct to pursue kicks back in. And it's not just about dating. Think about life in general. Anything you had to chase, you valued more. that car you saved up for, you treat it different than the one somebody gave you for free. That job you worked hard to get, you show up differently than the one you stumbled into. Human beings value what they had to put effort into. So if you're giving away all of you for free, no challenge, no chase, then don't be surprised when you're not being valued the way you should be. But when you pull back, now he's got to earn it. Now he's got to prove he's worthy of you. And that changes everything. Let me tell you a little story. I knew this woman, and she was crazy about this man. Every time he called, she answered. Every time he texted, she responded right away. She'd even cancel her plans just to be with him. And guess what? He got comfortable. He stopped making plans. He stopped putting in effort. He knew she'd always be there. One day, she got tired. She said, you know what? I'm not doing all this anymore. If he wants to see me, he can make it happen. So she pulled back. She stopped calling first. She stopped rearranging her schedule. She started living her life. And suddenly, this man who used to take days to reply, now he's blowing up her phone. He's like, baby, where you at? I miss you. Let's go out. I want to see you. You see what happened? When she pulled back, he realized he could lose her. And that's when he started chasing again. Because here's the truth. People don't appreciate what's always there. You leave your light on all day, you don't notice it. But when that light goes out, suddenly you realize how dark it is. That's how pulling back works. When you step away, your absence becomes louder than your presence ever was. And that absence is what makes people wake up. Now, let me be clear. Pulling back is not about manipulation. It's not about playing games. It's not about pretending you don't care when you do. Pulling back is about balance. It's about making sure the energy is matched. It's about not letting somebody else get comfortable while you carry the whole relationship on your back. When you pull back, you're giving them the opportunity to show you who they are. Do they step up or do they let it fade? Because either way you win. If they step up, great, you got the chase back. If they don't, then you know they weren't serious to begin with. But you'll never know until you stop doing all the chasing yourself. And let me tell you something about men. When we really want a woman, we will chase. Don't let nobody fool you. If he's not chasing, if he's not pursuing, if he's not putting in effort, it's not because he's shy. It's not because he's busy. It's not because he forgot. It's because he doesn't feel like he has to. But the second he feels you slipping away, the second he feels that pull back, that's when he shows you where you really stand. So don't be afraid to pull back. Don't be afraid to create that space, because in that space, you'll see the truth. You'll see who's willing to pursue you, who's willing to match you, who's willing to show up. And when that chase comes back alive, it ain't just about romance. It's about respect. It's about somebody proving that you're worth the effort. And that's the kind of love that lasts. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something about human nature. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for a relationship, for a friendship, for your own value is to step back. Because absence, believe it or not, creates presence. The moment you're not there, the moment you're not always available, not always answering, not always showing up on demand, that's when people start realizing just how much you meant to them. See, when you're always around, people take you for granted. That's just how we are wired. When something is guaranteed, when something is constant, we stop appreciating it. You can have the best view in the world, but if you see it every single day, after a while, you stop noticing it. That's what happens in relationships. When you're always present, always available, always giving, people stop feeling the weight of your value. But when you step away, when you create some absence, suddenly you become bigger in their mind than you ever were sitting right in front of them. Think about it. You ever been in a situation where somebody goes out of town and all of a sudden you start missing things you never even noticed before? You miss their laugh. You miss how they leave their socks in the corner. You miss the little habits that used to get on your nerves. Why? Because absence makes those little things stand out. Absence magnifies the presence of someone in your life. That's how powerful it is. Now, let's put it in the context of dating. You know how many people out here are running themselves rag because they think the only way to keep someone interested is to be constantly available. They answer every text in 2 seconds. They pick up every phone call no matter what they're doing. They cancel plans with their friends just to make time. And guess what? Instead of being appreciated, they're taken for granted. Because the person on the other end never has to feel the absence. They never have to miss you. They never have to wonder what life would feel like without you in it. And so your value gets watered down. But flip it around. Let's say you stop being available 24/7. Let's say you don't answer that text right away. Let's say you're busy living your life, working on your goals, hanging out with your friends, enjoying your own company. Suddenly, your absence starts creating presence. That person starts wondering, where is she? What's she doing? Who's she with? And that wondering is what creates interest, what creates urgency, what creates pursuit. Because absence forces people to fill in the blanks, and those blanks make you more present in their mind than 100 text messages ever could. I'll give you an example. There was this young man I knew who was dating this girl, and she was crazy about him. And she texted him constantly, called him, always asked to hang out. He liked her, but he didn't take her seriously. She was always there, always available. One day she stopped, not because she didn't care anymore, but because she realized she needed to focus on herself. She pulled back. She created some absence. And guess what? Suddenly that man was texting her nonstop. He was like, hey, what happened? You don't call me anymore. I miss you. When can I see you? You see what happened. Her absence created a stronger presence in his life than her constant availability ever did. And it's not just relationships. This principle works in every area of life. Think about celebrities. Part of the reason they stay relevant is because they know when to disappear. They know when to step out of the spotlight. And when they come back, the demand for them is even higher. If they stayed in front of us all the time, we'd get tired. But absence makes us crave their presence again. Same thing with music. If your favorite artist dropped a new song every single day, you'd stop caring. But when they go quiet for a while and then suddenly release something, it feels like an event. The absence created anticipation. The absence made the presence more powerful. Now, let's go a little deeper. Absence is not just about being missed. It's about teaching people to respect you. Because if you're always there, if you're always available, people assume you'll always be there. But when you step back, when you show that you have your own life, your own time, your own priorities, you're teaching them that your presence is not guaranteed. You're teaching them to value it. And anything rare, anything that's not guaranteed becomes valuable. That's why diamonds cost more than rocks. You can find rocks everywhere. Diamonds you got to search for. This is why I always tell people, don't be afraid to let someone miss you. Don't be afraid to create that gap. Because in that gap is where realization happens. That's where people reflect. That's where they start thinking about how much you mean to them. And if they don't, then that tells you everything you need to know. If your absence doesn't create presence in someone's life, if they don't even notice when you pull back, then they were really invested in you to begin with. And that's not a loss, that's clarity. Another thing about absence is that it builds respect. Think about it. If you're in a meeting and someone is constantly talking, you tune them out after a while. But if the quiet person in the corner finally speaks up, the whole room pays attention. Why? Because their absence from the conversation made their presence more powerful. That's how it works in relationships too. If you're always talking, always explaining, always filling the silence, people stop listening. But when you pull back, when you create that quiet, suddenly your presence is amplified. And here's the thing. Absence also protects your energy. You can't be everywhere for everyone all the time. You'll burn yourself out. Sometimes pulling back is not about making someone else chase. It's about giving yourself room to breathe. It's about recharging, about making sure that when you do show up, you're showing up as your best self. That's why absence isn't just for them. It's for you. It's about reminding yourself that your presence is valuable, that it's worth protecting, that it's not something to hand out carelessly. So many people struggle with this because they're afraid. Afraid that if they pull back, they'll be forgotten. Afraid that if they're not constantly present, they'll lose their place in someone's life. But here's the truth. If your absence makes no difference, your presence never mattered. And if your absence does create presence, then you know you have real value. Either way, you win. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something right now. Value attracts pursuit. That's the law. That's human nature. You don't chase what's cheap. You don't beg for what's everywhere. You don't fight for what's easy to get. You chase what's rare. You chase what's precious. You chase what you know everybody can't have. And when you carry yourself with value, when you know your worth, when you operate like you're not out here, desperate for attention, but confident in what you bring to the table, that's when people come running after you. See, Here's the mistake so many people make in relationships. They think pursuit is about playing games. They think if they ignore somebody or act cold, that's how they'll get chased. No, no, no. That's not how it works. The chase don't come from pretending you don't care. The chase comes from showing you're worth caring about. Because at the end of the day, people pursue value. That's why folks stand in line for hours to buy a new iPhone. That's why people save up to go on vacations. That's why a man will save up 3 months' salary for a diamond ring. It's because value creates urgency. Value creates pursuit. Now let me tell you this, if you don't know your value, don't expect nobody else to see it. If you walk around acting like you're ordinary, people are going to treat you ordinary. If you accept crumbs, don't be surprised when that's all you get. But the moment you decide, I'm valuable, I'm not begging for anybody's time. I'm not chasing anyone who don't see my worth. I bring something rare, and if you want it, you got to step up. That's when you flip the script. That's when the pursuit starts. You ever notice how the things that cost the most don't advertise themselves? Diamonds don't go on sale. Rolls-Royce don't run commercials during the Super Bowl. Why? Because their value speaks for itself. They don't chase customers. Customers chase them. And when you know your value, you move the same way. You don't beg for love. You don't chase after somebody who keeps ignoring you. You let your presence, your energy, your standards speak for themselves. And the right people will pursue you. Let me break it down from a man's perspective. Men chase what they value. When a man really sees a woman as valuable, oh, he'll put in the work. He'll drive across town in traffic just to spend 1 hour with her. He'll rearrange his schedule just to make time. He'll call, text, plan, invest, because he knows if he don't, somebody else will. That's how we're wired. When we feel like we got something valuable, we'll do anything to keep it. But the moment a man senses that you don't even see your own value, that you'll settle for the bare minimum, guess what? He'll give you the bare minimum, because value is not just what you are, it's what you demand. And ladies, let me tell you, men will rise to the level of the value you set. If you say, this is my standard, this is what I require, this is what I will, and will not accept, the right man will meet it. But if you lower that bar, if you accept anything, then that's all you'll get. Value attracts pursuit, but only when you stand firm in it. Now, let's talk about the other side, because it ain't just women, it goes for men too. Fellas, if you don't see yourself as valuable, if you don't carry yourself with purpose, with discipline, with confidence, you ain't gonna attract nothing but games. Women chase value too. You can't expect a queen if you're not moving like a king. You can't expect loyalty if you're not showing leadership. That's how this works. When you build value in yourself, your character, your career, your mindset, you don't have to beg. You don't have to run around proving yourself. Women will notice, because value draws attention without you even trying. See, the reason value attracts pursuit is because people are naturally drawn to what's rare. Scarcity creates desire. You ever been to a sneaker release? Folks camping out overnight, standing in line for shoes that cost hundreds of dollars. And you know what's funny? Half of those people don't even need the shoes. They just want them because they're rare, because everybody can't have them. That's the psychology of value. When you treat yourself like you're rare, when you act like not everybody has access to you, people pursue you harder. But when you make yourself too common, too easy, too available, your value drops, and people stop chasing what's easy to catch. Let me tell you about this woman I once knew. She was beautiful, smart, funny. She had it all, but she didn't know her worth. Every guy she dated, she overextended herself. She did all the chasing, all the calling, all the planning. And every time the guy pulled away, she thought it was because she wasn't good enough. But the truth was she wasn't standing in her value. One day she changed. She started setting boundaries. She stopped overgiving. She focused on her goals, her career, her happiness. She started living like her time and energy were precious. And you know what happened? Men started pursuing her like never before. They called, they chased, they competed. Why? Because she finally recognized her own value, and when she did, it attracted pursuit. That's the secret right there. People will treat you how you treat yourself. If you don't respect your time, they won't either. If you don't respect your body, they won't either. If you don't respect your energy, they won't either. But the moment you set that tone, the moment you stand in your worth, you attract people who respect it. Because value is magnetic. And let me be real, it's not just about romance. This is about life. Jobs pursue valuable employees. Opportunities pursue valuable people. Doors open for people who show they have something rare to bring. That's why you got to invest in yourself. You got to keep growing, keep building, keep leveling up. Because the more valuable you are, the less chasing you got to do. Opportunities start chasing you. People start chasing you. Relationships start chasing you. Value attracts pursuit in every area of life. Now, here's the thing. Don't confuse arrogance with value. Value ain't about acting like you're better than everybody else. Value is about knowing your worth without apologizing for it. It's about walking into a room with confidence, not desperation. It's about knowing you're not for everybody, and that's okay. Because when you're valuable, you don't need everybody. You just need the right somebody who recognizes it. And when they do, they'll pursue you with everything they got. I want you to think about this. If you put a $20 bill on the ground, somebody might pick it up. Somebody might walk right past it. But if you put a gold bar on the ground, everybody's going to stop. Everybody's going to notice. Why? Because gold has value. And the same goes for you. When you operate with value, when you carry yourself like gold, you will never have to beg to be noticed. People will see you. People will pursue you. So stop lowering your price. Stop acting like you're a clearance item when you're really a limited edition. Stop chasing folks who can't even see your worth. Because at the end of the day, value don't chase, it attracts. And when you know your value, when you stand in it, when you demand it, the pursuit will come to you.